So let's go to the next one, which is humanitarian immigration. Okay. So a few categories. One, the most popular, the one we see the most humanitarian immigration cases is asylum. And we can talk about asylum forever because it's very complex. There's several nuances and several elements, but essentially asylum is an international protection for people who are afraid, who have been persecuted or are afraid of being in their home countries. And I say international because it's a body of law that the United States also adopted and made it into their own laws. And so now U.S. asylum law, it's very complex. It's, yes, you have some international principles, but you have statutes, you have regulations, and you have case law. Okay, the federal courts also have jurisdiction over asylum appeals. And so in the United States, we have several circuit courts depending where you live. For example, if you live in California, you're in the Ninth Circuit. If you live in New York, you're in the Second Circuit. If you live in Jersey, you're in the Third Circuit. If you live in Florida, you're in the 11th Circuit. If you live in Utah, you're in the 10th Circuit. Okay, so there's different circuits, and based on certain nuances, sometimes the circuits don't quite agree with one another. And so that's the whole body of asylum law. And actually, the circuits have jurisdiction over other types of immigration cases as well. So what is asylum? Get to it, Felipe, right? Asylum is protection for someone who has been persecuted in their home country or has what they call a well-founded fear of being persecuted in their home country. So that's number one. Persecuted, or you're really afraid of being persecuted and you have a well-founded fear, right? It's not just a random belief. You have good reason to believe why you believe this. You can show the court or you can show the asylum officer. Two, you have to show that this fear is linked, right? Or this persecution is linked. In other words, why did they persecute you? Or why will they persecute you if you return to your home country? It cannot be a business dispute usually, right? It cannot be because you married the guy's girlfriend. Usually those will not fall within the protected grounds of asylum. So what are the protected grounds of asylum? I thought you never asked. Here we go. Let's do this. So one, the one we see probably the most, political opinion. All right. You manifest a political opinion that goes against the majority or goes against the minority, and they're looking to kill you, looking to jail you. Okay. So corruption, you identify and you criticize corruption in your home country. All right. That is a form of political opinion. All right. Number two, religion. Okay. You are persecuted because of practice of your faith, religion. Three, race. Clear enough. Four, nationality. What is nationality? I will give you an example. If you're familiar with the People's Republic of China, right? It's the communist China, right? There are two territories in China, or now we can even say I would say three now, or more. I could be missing. That we would check off nationality now when we apply for asylum for people that come from China and come from those territories. One, it would be Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a territory where there is a majority Muslim population, and they feel that they are part of a country called East Turkestan, and I believe they feel that they were overtaken in 1949. Two, you have Tibet. And the Tibetan, a lot of them are Buddhist, and they believe in the Dalai Lama, and they were taken over in the 50s. Again, all these people have their own different language and different culture and religion. And number three now, recently, in the past few years, you have Hong Kong, okay? So these are people with their own identity. They feel like they belong to almost like a country within a country, and they want some sort of independence. They want their culture and their language and their religion to be respected by the main government, right? And so that would be a form of nationality. And number five, it's the more fun one. It's whenever we don't get the other four, we try to fit it into number five. This is particular social group. You are a member of a particular social group. What the heck is that? Well, courts have tried to define it. Let me underline and bold the word try. They have said that a social group is someone who is distinct, who is socially distinct. And because of that social distinction, because of that trait or characteristic that stands out to everybody in your society, somebody persecuted you because of it, or they will persecute you because of it. And so some PSGs, as we call them, particular social groups that have been approved by the courts, but again, you can make whatever arguments you want to make. For example, homosexuals. In matter of Toboso Alfonso, okay, it was a Cuban case that was recognized as a PSG. You have former police officers, like in matter of Fuentes, okay, that is a PSG because it is a characteristic that you can't erase. It has to be a characteristic that you cannot erase or that you should not be required to erase, right? So in the case of Toboso Alfonso in Cuba, can he stop being homosexual, right? Or he shouldn't be required to do it. Even if it was possible, he shouldn't be required, right? Members of some tribes, okay? Matter of Kasinga, which is a BIA, Board of Immigration case, that one held that women who are at risk of being, who will suffer female genital mutilation can be part of a PSG. So PSG, that's where you get your creative juices going, and you argue to the judge, hey, this is a very unique case. We've won some really interesting ones. There was one PSG we won. We argued that the young man was an Americanized Mexican, and therefore he would stand out if he were to go back to Mexico. The way he spoke, the way he carried himself, he was totally American. And we won. We won the case. Very complex case, but we won that case. That's just one example. Okay. So persecution. You've been persecuted, or you're going to be persecuted. Two. It has to be because of one of the grounds: political opinion, religion, race, nationality, membership in a particular social group. And then that persecution has to be done or carried out by governments or by an organization or individuals that the government is unwilling or unable to control. All right. So first is government. If it's the police, if it's the army, that is clearly government, right? There are a lot of our Chinese cases. I speak Mandarin if you didn't know, clearly government. Then you have a lot of our Central American cases. It's not clearly government, but they are forces that the government is either not willing or not able to control. So for willing, we point to a lot of corruption cases. You have like the Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13 in Central America, and they essentially bribe the police officers. And the police officers who don't want to accept the bribes, they murder them, right? So the government is not willing to control them because they're getting bribes. And those that want to control them, they're not able to control them because they get their limbs chopped off, right? So that's how we prove that part. Okay, so essentially that's asylum in a nutshell. In a nutshell, we love asylum. We can talk about it all day long. How do you apply for asylum? You need to enter the United States. Okay, you need to be here, regardless of how you got here. You're here in the U.S. and you have to apply within 1 year of coming to the U.S. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I can keep talking about asylum. Asylum is very important. If you fear any of these things that we've talked about, if there's a reason that you fear being in your home country, or you're here in the United States already and you don't want to go back because you fear A, B, and C, and based on what you heard me say, oh, I'm not sure if I qualify. He mentioned business disputes, wouldn't do it, so I can't do it. No. I say generally, but I've won some crazy cases. So if you're afraid, give us a call.